DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy, family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574 today. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Victory Monday, huge Victory Monday edition of Bills Weekly here on FingerLakes1.com. Paul Russo here. Kyle Evans is here with me as well. I'm back in studio. Jim Sinicropi. Big win, 31-20 over the Kansas City Chiefs. This was huge. We'll get into everything. This is, I got a lot of thoughts on this game. Got a lot of thoughts for a change on this one. So we'll get to all that. But first, I have to thank a couple more of our partners here, just like we did with DeSanto Propane at the jump, including Auburn Auto Group when it comes to selection and service. After sale, Auburn Auto Group has been the premier destination for new and used buyers for close to 40 years. Among the brands offered on Route 5 in Auburn include Chevrolet, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Honda, Toyota, and Subaru. Thanks to our wide range of makes and models, you're sure to find your new or used car at Auburn Auto Group. And Cafe 19, breakfast, lunch, pastry, celebratory cakes, pies, and catering. Guaranteed fresh and always local at Cafe 19 in Sac Falls, offering an assortment of beverages, including tea, coffee, and espresso drinks. Check out their full menu and weekly specials at xixcafe.com.
I think you can still order pies for Thanksgiving, too, from Cafe.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
Get it in soon, though.
Coming up, yeah. About to say we are under the probably 10-day gun for that one, I'd say, for sure. So get on that. They have a lot of great stuff down there. So let's jump into this, guys. Before I want to toss to you, I personally feel this was probably the era-defining win at this point. Might be a little bit wrong, but just the vibes from the game yesterday. CBS had the pregame show on the road, on location in Orchard Park. It was set up to be this game that, we talked about last week, Kyle, me and you, about what this was expecting in the lead up into it anyway from weeks ago, and it lived up to it. And I think for Bills fans, much, much more than even what we were even thinking, to be completely honest.
Yeah, and more times than not, these two teams give you a game that, everyone wants to just sit there and watch. And for a lot of the game, it's a tight game as expected. And then the Bills did something late that they don't always do too often, which is put a team away and maybe not be so conservative and just take a field goal, be aggressive against a team that's undefeated in your building. I liked, the coaching by Sean McDermott for the most part, other than that dumb challenge in the first half. But yeah, it was a great day in Orchard Park, and a lot of streaks were busted. The Chiefs had so many different crazy streaks going for them, and they were all snapped yesterday. So I will say, though, it's not surprising. I do think a lot of Bills fans especially, are maybe overreacting a little bit because they've won 4 straight regular season games against this team. They're 0-3 in the playoffs. So yes, it's a good win. Yes, you have to take care of business in the regular season, but we all need to see it in January.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It was a huge win. They're in contention now for the number 1 seed in the AFC. You can't win Super Bowls in November, though. And so while it was a great win, it's a great sign, they didn't clear any hurdles that they haven't cleared before. And we know that this Kansas City Chiefs team, despite being undefeated, isn't as dominant as past Kansas City Chiefs teams. And it's a good sign. It's a great way to go into the bye week. They got a mixed schedule for the rest of the way, and then we're going to have to see if these Buffalo Bills can do it, in the playoffs. Otherwise, none of this will matter. And like you said, Kyle, beating the Chiefs in the regular season is nothing new.
Yeah, they've been doing it.
So, great win. We're going to have to wait until January and February to see if the Bills can overcome the hurdle that they have been unable to overcome in the past several years.
Yeah. And to me, that's what makes this game important, though, is the fact that now, obviously, they still have to get a game in order to do this, but they get the tiebreaker now in Kansas City in the standings, and
Kansas
I,
City
I
will lose
still,
another game for sure, but can
yeah,
the Bills run the table? I don't know.
yeah. I mean, but I still think, you'd rather, if you're the Bills, you'd rather be home in Orchard Park in late January than on the road,
Of course.
hypothetically here.
Yeah.
And I do think that does make a difference. Push comes to shove, especially this year. It feels like it's the only negative for me personally from the game, and I did want to talk a quick second about it. Kyle, you brought it up. We've mentioned this now. This is probably at least the second, maybe third time we've talked about what's the purpose of John Perry when you're kind of gonna honestly throw away challenges. Kyle, you said it perfectly. It was dumb. It was a really head scratching one that I didn't see. Frankly, even if it was close, like what was there to overturn on that? I just don't know what the decision making was behind it.
Yeah, I mean, it took one replay for me to be like, what is this challenge? And if John Perry was making that call as he's supposed to, that's crazy. The guy's been, on TV for years officiating, giving his input on penalties and stuff like that. And for him to call a challenge on that and that situation, I mean, it wasn't even close. Why waste a challenge that early? It's very mind blowing.
And you don't see stuff like that from Andy Reid and his staff. Just a subtle item, I guess, that might highlight some of the links that the Bills still need to go to be a Super Bowl champion. Little things.
Yeah. Although they did have the Chiefs that have won yesterday challenge that did not get.
No, that's true. Maybe so. Maybe Andy Reid's slipping.
Yeah. But I will say this, the game yesterday, you kind of saw it, I think, with both quarterbacks and really both teams. Just the magnitude of the game. You could tell that there was a lot of gas pedal mashing, not a lot of brake going on, for better or worse in certain situations. And I think that just kind of maybe played into a little bit of it. Yeah, it's just weird though. And maybe to be fair, Kyle, you brought up a fair point in that one. Maybe Sean McDermott acted alone on that challenge. I don't know, but at the same token, John Perry does have a headset on for a reason upstairs. I don't know the purpose of him being up there if this is just the continuous thing that's happened. I don't know.
Yeah, and Sean McDermott's known for bad challenges since he's been in Buffalo, and that's why they finally made a hire into his seventh, eighth year. I can't even think right now how many years into he is. And John Perry's supposed to help with these awful challenge rates that McDermott has. And if I don't think we'll ever find out, but if that was a McDermott call, I mean, you got to use John Perry. That's why you brought him in.
Yeah, I agree. I got one question for you guys. First of all, I didn't love the third down call on the final drive when it was when they ran the ball. I think 3rd and 2, you put it in Josh Allen's hands. Why wait till 4th and 2 when you can have a bad snap or a penalty? Do it on 3rd down. But do you think that McDermott opted to go for it on 4th and 2 instead of kicking the field goal because of a lack of faith in Tyler Bass, or because he was trying to, just put him away? I love the call, first of all. I'm glad they went for it. Obviously, they scored the touchdown. I wanted them to go for it too but I'm just wondering if you think McDermott would have kicked the field goal if he had full confidence that Tyler Bass would have made it, and give him the 5-point lead and give him Mahomes the ball, or do you think McDermott was like, screw this, we're winning the game right here?
I personally think it's, excuse me, maybe a little bit of both, but more so, I think McDermott wanted to end it right there, in a sense.
That's what I'm hoping, because that's the mentality you have to have, if you want to win a Super Bowl. But I'm not sure. I wasn't sure what he was going to do. And then when he tried to back Allen, I just wondered, because Bass, of course, missed the extra point that made the decision. So I don't know. We were talking a couple weeks ago about how Tyler Bass, after hitting that 61-yard game winner, we don't got to worry about it anymore. He comes back, misses an extra point. And I just wonder, if McDermott's going to have the confidence in him and that call to go for it on 4th and 2. I think it's a special situation given you're playing the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, but almost any other, NFL coach or strategy would say kick the field goal there, put them up by 5. It's much easier to kick a field goal when you got the ball with a minute left than it is to go down the field and score a touchdown. So, I was just wondering about that, if it was McDermott was really like, we're the better team, we're going to win it here, or if he was like low confidence in that Bass was going to make that field. Because if Bass misses that field goal, if McDermott goes that route, now all of a sudden the Chiefs are like 20 yards away from a field goal of their own to win the game. So I still think there's some concern about, the field goal kicker in Buffalo right now.
Yeah, I think the team played into it for sure, and I think, all the recent matchups against the Chiefs in the final minutes when they have given up, a touchdown, or I guess even in the playoff game, they allowed the Chiefs easily to march down the field and get that field goal to win it. So, yeah, I definitely think the team played into it, and I think if this was the Colts last week, he kicks a field goal right there and says, all right, let me trust my defense, who
Was awesome.
again, second half defense, it's unreal. Every week we talk about it. Only gave up 7 points.
Yeah, really impressive. So, did you like the call, Paul, to go for it?
Traditional football in me hated it.
Yeah, right. You could field goal, get a 5-point lead.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's a little bit of both, admittedly. Far be it from me to armchair quarterback this on a Monday, in the sense. I don't hate the fact they went for it. If it was like 4th and let's say the hypothetical 6 or 7, I would still be sitting here probably calling him nuts for doing it. 4th and 2 makes it a little bit of an easier call for sure.
They get a touchdown out of it.
Yeah,
Allen, but
right.
Yeah,
It's just one of those things where I don't have a problem with it.
I liked it.
It's just the back of my brain still sits here and goes and this is where I definitely agree with where you're coming from though, Jim. It's I do feel look, Bass missed an extra point early in the game too. I just feel like there's stuff lingering in the back of the mind for McDermott that, look, you can say that you trust him, but, if push came to shove, it's pretty apparent, I think, what the decision might have been at the end of the day.
I think against any other team, he probably kicked that field goal, but against the Chiefs, undefeated,
Yeah.
you got, to beat the Chiefs, you need to have the ball in your hand. You can't give it to Mahomes and try to beat the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, history's proven that. So I do like the call. I didn't like I said before, the 3rd down call. No, even though they ran the ball pretty well throughout the course of the game, but why wait to 4th down to give the ball to Allen? That 3rd and 2 play was literally just as big as the 4th and 2 play, and I would have ran a play where Allen had the option to run or pass to an open receiver. But other than that, really was pleased to see the Bills act like they were the better team, throughout the game even.
Yeah.
It wasn't the type of game where watching it, I was just waiting for, Mahomes to come and beat us. It felt like the Bills were the better team, and it felt like the Bills were in control. And I think by going for it, and ultimately getting the touchdown, they kept control and took the chance out of Mahomes' hands.
Yeah, I mean, there was very few times in that game where I felt like the Chiefs had, whether it be momentum or the better team in the moment type thing, very few, if any at all, and I think it's pretty indicative, and we can probably jump in a little bit more here at this point with this. It was pretty big seeing what the Bills could do. Now, they did get Amari Cooper back yesterday, but they were still down Dalton Kincaid, Keon Coleman, right? What have become two pretty big pieces.
Starting right tackle Spencer Brown.
And frankly, have their way with, to me anyway, have their way with a Chiefs defense that has played, personally, I think, a little bit above their heads for a lot. But it's a lot of during this Chiefs run of what I call bend don't break defense for them, where it's just they go out, they handle their business and go. And for Buffalo, I thought they handled the situation really, really well with the pieces that they were missing.
Yeah, James Cook didn't have the best day, other than, I get it, the 2 touchdowns, but they were right there inside the 5-yard line. But overall, the yards per carry for all the running backs was not very good. But the Chiefs had the fourth best run defense entering that game. That's their strong, that's what they do best. And the passing game, I thought, worked pretty well for the most part. And I thought they should have even thrown the ball more than what they were doing. They were very committed to running on first down and only getting a yard, and then all of a sudden it's 2nd and 9, and then 3rd and 8. Just they had so many 3rd and longs, and believe it or not, though, they overcame it, and on all their touchdowns, they had a 3rd and 8 on each of those drives, and they still found a way to convert. So
And
I just would have liked to see bigger chunks of yards on those first couple downs.
Or, if you want to play a little bit of small ball, and the run's not there, don't give the ball to Shakir. He can create yards. What unbelievable, that guy. Just some of the plays he makes. Definitely a difference maker. And then you saw what it means to have a talent like Amari Cooper early in the game when he made that one-handed catch on the sideline to kind of get things going for the Bills.
Yep. And then the other catch that they challenged that, stood down the field when he caught over the shoulder. Both of those catches led to those James Cook touchdowns, so they were big catches.
Yeah, and I don't know how many receivers in the NFL can make a catch like that. Maybe, a dozen. The Bills got one of them.
Yeah.
And to back something up too, Kyle, you brought up about that. I know this one isn't necessarily a pass defense thing here, but you mentioned like Spencer Brown being out. Josh Allen, albeit there were a couple of times he had to get out of it, no sacks. Kansas City had no sacks on Josh Allen yesterday as well.
Yeah.
So.
And the Bills sacked Mahomes twice, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's got to be the most pressure we've ever seen the Bills put on Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to see. I mean, they definitely.
Von Miller got one.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely threw him off of their tempo and pace, and seemed to be able to apply pressure even when they didn't sack him. I mean, and that's the most amazing thing to me about this Bills team is just looking at the personnel on the defense going into the season to what they've been actually producing. It's a surprise. Taylor Rapp and DeMar Hamlin and company.
Hey.
It just doesn't seem like a top 5 NFL defense, but they are.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I know we're talking a little bit of offense here too with it, but, the other sack was Terrell Bernard, and you also had the game-sealing interception, which,
Sweet.
For the people who've been listening and watching this podcast, the past 2 seasons now, he has become, frankly, the staple of this defense, in all honesty. And it's just one of those things where he's battled with injury this year, as we've known, and I'm really happy that a guy like him was able to be the one who, I know he had the sack, but frankly sealed the game for the Bills last night, that he was the one who was able to do
I
it.
remember a couple of years ago when they were banged up and we were like, now Bernard, here's this Bernard guy.
Yeah.
Since then he's really established himself. It's like you say, maybe the heart and soul of this entire defense.
Yeah, and Dorian Williams didn't fill the stat sheet, but the other, middle linebacker, he continues to play well. A name nobody knew going into the year. I can't remember when he was drafted. I know it was kind of pretty late, and to do a good job against this Chiefs offense. I mean, just look at DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce. 3 catches for 37 yards? I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, just a little sidebar here is just like Travis Kelce, finished? Is he done? He is not anywhere close to what he was 2 years ago or even a year ago.
Yeah, what's weird, though, leading up to this game, he was actually finally catching the ball more and getting more targets. And all of a sudden, this game, he had 1 target in the first half and I think a couple in the second half, and we didn't really see him. But yeah, I just also wanted to correct, it was 5 catches for 37 yards for them 2 combined. So, I mean.
Noah Gray.
Yeah.
A better game.
Yeah, and Xavier Worthy was basically shut down in the second half. I think he had 1 catch in the second half. It was all in the first half. Yeah. And then remember that one play he was out of bounds when Mahomes found him deep down the field.
Yep.
Couldn't keep 2 feet in. That was a game changer. Had he caught that, they're inside, I think, the 40. But yeah, it was Xavier Worthy or nothing for the most part for the passing game.
And so you look at the Chiefs, and they don't have a game-changing offensive weapon anymore. They don't have Tyreek Hill. They don't have Pacheco. They don't have
They don't have
Kelsey in his prime.
MVS.
Yeah,
Who's dominating in New
I
Orleans.
know.
right. Yeah, it's so funny. But yeah, it's all Mahomes in the defense really that's keeping this team going. And again, they're still a half game ahead of the Bills in the standings in the AFC, so it was a big win. But we're still looking up at the standings at them.
I mean, the Bills did a pretty good job. Let me double check the stats here. Oh, I mean, yeah, Kareem Hunt 14 carries for 60 yards, so he's actually been weirdly at least the second best player on that offense since they re-signed him. So, I mean, they were able to hold him in check as well. So, for the most part, I do have the Dorian Williams pick here, round 3, overall 91 in 2023 for Dorian Williams. Out of Tulane, go Green Wave. So,
Good pick.
yeah. Yeah, and look, we'll get more into this in just a couple minutes as well, but, like, this is, like, we talked about how big this was as well for the Bills. You go into the bye week now, you're riding momentum. Jimmy kind of teed it up, too. It's interesting schedule down the stretch. This was a huge kind of vibe check game, too, in a way for this team, right? I know on social media there was stuff afterwards, too, from whether it be fans of or fans not of the Bills, even talking about how this year was kind of whether it was retool, rebuild, nobody really expected. And I think, Jim, you perfectly said it as well with the defense as the prime example of it, right? Nobody really probably expected the Bills to be where they exactly are this year, and yet they are. And I go back to something I said week 3. I think a lot of people are talking about it now. Josh Allen MVP talk is really ramping up again. This game, for a lot of different reasons, as we've talked about already, just huge, frankly.
Yeah, I believe he's now the favorite, and I'm not sure all sports books, but at least FanDuel and I think DraftKings for the MVP. And I mean, he should. We just saw it yesterday. McDermott put the ball in his hands, and he took over and did what he needed to do to seal the win.
The last run was amazing. I mean, to get into the end zone, and just totally end the game.
And most quarterbacks probably wouldn't have tried to keep fighting for those extra yards.
Right. Of course, if he got hurt, we'd be saying, "What the heck?"
Yeah.
But
I mean, to be fair, at one point during that run, I was yelling like he just needs to get down.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, he just trucks people. It's just crazy.
It's fun though, that's the mentality of a champion.
Yeah, I think I can't remember who exactly tweeted it, but somebody even said like that specific run is going to be the highlight they show if he wins the award. Like that will be the encapsulation of the MVP going to Josh Allen.
Yeah, and Josh Allen and the Bills offense, they were the first team to put up 30 against the Chiefs since the Super Bowl against the Eagles.
Yeah.
It's been 30 straight games they have not allowed 30 points in a game, and that was snapped yesterday.
I think, speaking of 30...
3 straight weeks they scored 30, the Bills.
Well, correct, but I was going to go something that actually Kyle brought up last week. Chiefs did not get to 30 points, and they did not win as well. So, all the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, it's actually 5 straight games now with 30 points, 30 or more points, and they've done it 8 times this season, the most in the NFL. And that's even more than the Lions, who do lead the NFL in points scored, but they have 3 games this year, I believe, where they've gotten into the 50s. Yeah. So, they're a high-powered offense, but man, the Bills have to play them coming up soon. I don't know how that's going to match up. I know we have a lot of time to talk about it, but the run game for them scares me against the Bills' defense.
And again, if the Chiefs were undefeated, yes, they have the pedigree in Super Bowl championships, and that's where the Bills want to be. But are the Chiefs the best team the Bills will face on the road to the Super Bowl? Despite the record, they certainly struggled with the likes of Baltimore. If they get to the Super Bowl, they might face a team like Detroit. I mean, wouldn't that be just salt in the wound of longtime Buffalo Bills fans to get to the Super Bowl and play a team like Detroit, who also, doesn't have a Super Bowl and then lose.
They've never been to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, never even been there. So a long way to go before it gets to that point. But I'm hoping, this Bills team, behind Josh Allen just is a team that understands how to win games now. They've become more experienced, and they're going to apply that knowledge and experience when they get to the postseason against whoever they play. Because it's tough to look at the team on paper and say that, they're clearly the best team in the AFC or the best, or a Super Bowl favorite other than Josh Allen,
Yeah,
Do you
and
agree with that? Like, you look at the roster, and
Well-
I'm surprised to be sitting here at this point in the season, based at what my thoughts were going into the season, and seeing the Bills at 9-2. I didn't see that coming.
Well, I think for me, personally speaking, anyway, once you get out there, it's all different anyway.
Like, they were
I
better,
just-
last year on paper, and they were like
Yeah.
500 at the midway point.
And they fired Ken Dorsey.
Right? Yeah.
I don't know. I think once you get chemistry going and stuff like that, takes into a little bit of effect as well. And the more I look back at that Baltimore game, the more I just think it was kind of a fluke almost in a way, the way it happened.
And then the next
If
week
I'm
they
being
got
completely
spanked
honest.
by Houston.
Yeah.
Well, it ended up being 23-20. Remember,
Yeah.
they rallied and they had chances in the fourth quarter to grab the lead or tie the game, and they couldn't. But yeah, I think the Baltimore game is the outlier there. You still wonder why that happened. A Sunday night football game in prime time. I know it's on the road, but to just not show up 35-10, what
I
is
keep
that?
beating the drum, but the answer is Khalil Shakir. He
Yeah.
was banged up in that game. He didn't play against Houston. He is one piece of the puzzle that they cannot be without.
It is a different team if they did play the Ravens again and they have Shakir, they have Amari Cooper, they have Kincaid,
Yeah.
they have Spencer Brown. I mean, even though they did in that game, I'm just saying all the pieces they can have, if they have them all together, can they beat Baltimore? Maybe it'll be at least closer. I don't know if they still can beat them because
We might find out
Derrick Henry is Derrick
in the
Henry.
playoffs.
Well, and for me personally, anyway, again, Baltimore's kind of leaning into my reason I have doubts about them anyway the past few weeks. So
They're kind of lucky to even have 6 wins. I mean,
Yeah.
there's times where they could have maybe even been 5-5.
for sure.
Yeah, they were down early to the Cardinals in week 1, and then they came back strong, dropped those 2 games, and were 3-2 after week 5. Snuck by the Jets by 3 points. And then, since then, well, the Miami game was close, but since then they've been pretty dominant. They killed Tennessee. They killed Seattle in Seattle. They beat Indianapolis by 10. So, yeah, I don't know, man. NFL's a tough league. You look at all these teams, and we could be sitting here being so excited now that they beat the Chiefs and they're in position, and they could come back and drop 3 straight after the bye.
Yeah.
They got San Francisco at home on a Sunday night game, and then they're on the road at the Rams, who are a much better team than they were a few weeks ago, even with Kupp and Nakua being back, and then on the road in the Silver Dome at whatever they call it nowadays at
Ford
the Lions.
Field.
Yeah, Ford Field.
The Silver Dome.
It was imploded.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the last thing in there was some filming for the Bad Boys 30 for 30. But
But yeah, they could come back. Let's say they even beat San Francisco, and then they got to go on the road for LA and Detroit. Tough games.
I mean, I got to be honest. The only team that really scares me coming up outright for the Bills in the schedule is Detroit. Look, the San Fran team, as I call them yesterday, the San Francisco 49ers, as it stands right now. The Rams a little bit, but their defense is that game has shootout written all over, and I think the Bills will be able to handle that. Patriots
on the
are
road,
the Patriots.
West Coast. I don't know, man. It scares me a little bit.
I understand, but like LA is not some home field advantage by any means.
No, it's just a West Coast road trip against a team that's playing good football right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna kind of be disappointing to not be able to watch the Bills next weekend. Coming off this high, but on the other hand, it's a nice point in the season to get it by.
I mean, you bring up a good point that I don't think many people are talking about though with that, Jim, is the fact that I do feel like it's a look, the Bills really do need this bye week. I'm not going to sit here and act like they don't. But, like, God, you kind of wish maybe this was coming maybe a week after the 49er game in a way.
Give me San Francisco next week and then a bye.
Yeah. Because, like, now you have a lot of this, especially on the fan side, and I'm sure it's the same within the organization and team, but you got this momentum right now coming off of this win, man. It does suck that you have to sit, 13 days before you get back out there again, for sure.
Yeah.
And quickly, I just wanted to say, before the season, their win total was 10.5 for most sports books, and they're already at 9 after 11 weeks. So it is surprising and it is stunning. And like you said, you look at the defense. It's and with the Milano injury, in training camp, you're like, wow, that's a big loss. And I mean, yes, it still is, and it's gonna be great to get him back. Hopefully, even for that 49ers game. But the defense has stepped up so big, and you look at the wide receiver room. We question that a lot. Other than Shakir, we're like, wow, are these guys gonna be able to contribute enough? And
Curtis Samuel sighting this week.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel finally showed up, and they paid him all that money to do so.
Not to interrupt, Kyle. Jim, would you like to issue an apology to Mac Hollins at all? Or
I've never been a big Mac Hollins hater. I think Kyle is more anti-Mac Hollins than me.
Yeah, I'm still not a big fan, and
the disrespect happening right now.
Just, I don't know. I mean, he's cool for being unique and walking around barefoot, but on his play on the field, I don't know. He's not overwhelming to me.
He had another big catch though yesterday, man. I'm telling you.
86 yards against the Colts.
Yeah.
But he's a good fourth receiver, I guess, right? You're not asking him to
when
be.
Shakir and Cooper are on the field and everyone's mostly healthy, I don't think we're going to see Hollins a lot. And if Samuel starts playing like this, yeah, Hollins is going to be on the bench.
Yeah, which would be great. I mean, that's what you'd want.
Yeah, I think all Bills fans want Curtis Samuel to play like he did yesterday.
Yeah.
And be a reliable option down the field and not run those weird, like, screen plays for, like, 1 or 2 yards or negative yards.
Yeah, he made plays yesterday. And it was funny, when he'd make a play, I didn't realize it was Samuel at first. I was trying to figure out who it was. But it was Curtis Samuel. It really was.
And Dawson Knox stepping up big with Dalton out. 4 for 40, I believe. 4 catches, 40 yards.
Yep. And it's a real nice thing for the Bills to have 2 tight ends, quality tight ends that Knox can step right in there. Geez, man, it's all good right now. Hopefully they're not peaking too soon.
Yeah. And speaking of the tight ends, kudos to Zach Davidson. Late call up to suit up. I know he did have one catch. And shout out to my guy, keeping going, the pride of Bowling Green, Quentin Morris. We almost had him for another stupid long touchdown. It's like yearly one. But damn. Just one of those things where, hey, when everything's going right, it's going right. I think Jerry Reed said it best: when you're hot, you're hot. So
6 straight wins. I believe they ended last regular season with 6 straight wins as well. So it's their second 6-game winning streak in 2 years. So pretty good. Let's see if they can make it 7.
Yeah, and the beauty of, like I said, bye week this week, nothing to prepare. This isn't like a Florida State podcast where we'd have to worry about a bye week for a team. So
you're going to enjoy their Thanksgiving before they hit the field again.
Yep. And we will have a podcast next week previewing the 49er game coming up.
What are your early thoughts on them? I mean, they just lost to Seattle.
I just call them the San Francisco 49ers. So, I mean,
5-5.
You have to remember with me, I have a big anti-Shanahan thing personally. So, but I thought they were going to be way better than they were. They have not been. They haven't done anything to prove otherwise at this point. I know they're dealing with injuries and blah, blah, blah.
McCaffrey's a huge loss. Even now that he's back, he's not 100%.
He hasn't looked.
Yeah, he doesn't look like the old McCaffrey.
He visually looks slower for the first time in his career. Like, visually, I could tell on the TV.
And remember, Kittle didn't play.
That's true.
I mean, he's been, in the absence of McCaffrey, he's been their most reliable offensive weapon. So he was out. Samuel's been battling injuries. Jawan Jennings has been having some injury. They've really been battered up on offense. And, Brock Purdy, I don't think is obviously not a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes type. He's the guy that can run an offense if he's got healthy weapons around him, and he just hasn't. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they have not been as dominant as they were last year. Same names for the most part, but just not quite as dominant defensively. And they're not going to be coming off a bye next week, right? So the Bills are going to come in
Yeah,
rested.
they play at Green Bay this Sunday.
Yeah, and then so they're going to be the Bills got to win that game, especially seeing the 2 road games that come follow that. So yeah, San Francisco next week at Green Bay, and then they're going to have to come all the way to Buffalo.
Yeah.
For the first time in 8 years. They've been there since 2016.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
Yeah, every 4 years, they play the NFC. What is it? The NFC
West, because they got
Yep.
they played the Cardinals already, and they got the Rams.
They were at
and
the
then
Seahawks early in the year.
Seahawks, yeah, really weird kind of. It's a weird division to match up with for the Bills, just because of obviously geographical reasons. But you don't see those games very often.
Yeah.
But so far, the Bills have dominated them.
Mm-hmm.
They dominated the West in the 2 games they played, and they got 2 more coming up off the bye.
They're 5-0 at home. Only one of 2 teams, Chiefs, Bills, undefeated at home. So
And they got San Francisco, New England, and the Jets at home. That's their remaining home schedule.
yeah, I'm sorry. I know it's the NFL, but the last 3 games, based on what we've seen from them teams, the Jets and the Patriots, those have to be 3 wins. Unless I guess they're not playing for something in Week 18
Right.
at New England, which very well could be. They're going to lock up the AFC East.
Well,
I
they've
think they-
already haven't they? I mean,
They can officially lock it up
Yeah.
right before this game starts on December 1st.
they have a 3.5 game lead over the Dolphins.
Yeah, they need 2 Dolphins losses or because the Bills are off, so yeah, they need the Dolphins to lose their next 2, and then by kickoff for that Sunday night game, they could have already clinched.
That's nuts.
But the Dolphins get the Patriots this weekend, so it's probably not looking great.
But those games do scare me. New England and the Jets late in the season, divisional games. I mean, yes, the Bills should take care of them, but I wouldn't be surprised if on 3 days before Christmas, the Bills are playing the Patriots, and we're in the 4th quarter, and the score is like 13-10 New England.
Well, I was gonna
That wouldn't
say,
shock me.
not that it's bad at this point, but like New England frightens me more than the Jets do.
Oh my God,
I
the
mean-
Jets are the biggest joke in professional sports history, maybe
Yeah.
history. Aaron Rodgers doesn't care, but
My personal favorite is the report that dropped. I think it was Friday, where it's like Rodgers may not return to the Jets. I'm like, yeah, no kidding.
I mean, the Jets reap what they sow.
Yeah.
I guess
The funny thing is they took the lead late yesterday, and they couldn't hold on.
Glorious.
And wait, did they end up going for 2? I forgot why it ended up 27-28. Did they miss a 2-point conversion, or was it just field goal maybe?
No, I think it was a 2-pointer because they brought in Andres Carlson, their 4th different kicker in 4 weeks, and he was perfect yesterday. So it was a failed 2-point.
Can't blame the kicker.
No. Well, my favorite one is the when they went for it on 4th and 1, and Rodgers backs out from the pocket. Conklin comes over and ends up under center, and they try to run it with Conklin.
Yes.
I'm like, what in the hell is going on here? Like,
Garrett Wilson, who's the receiver? Devontae Adams,
Yep.
Brees Hall, this other young running back they got.
Braylon Allen.
I mean, the Jets it's obviously more than just bringing in the big names. I mean, they really hung their season on Aaron Rodgers, their last 2 seasons on Aaron Rodgers, and that was obviously a
lot of
bad
people did.
choice. He's aging. He is not motivated to win. If you look at Tom Brady when he went to Tampa Bay, he was on a mission. He was focused. He invigorated everybody around him.
And even
And
then,
then look at Rodgers, what he's
Yeah.
doing.
Well,
Nobody wants to rally behind Aaron Rodgers.
I was going to say, I mean, you look at Brady and you want to go even deeper. Look at Peyton Manning. Like, neither of them in those final couple of years with those different teams, right? Manning with the Broncos, Brady with the Buccaneers. They weren't what they even were like the year before. And yet they still went out there and won and still were whatever.
Right.
And Rodgers just is not.
He's not
He doesn't
good
leave
leader.
him. It's not even a shadow of what he was. Like, it's crazy.
And their defense is even not as good as it has been in the last few years. I mean, Sauce Gardner is really getting picked apart on social media. He's going back at people. Like, the culture is just not even.
I don't mind that part of it.
Yeah, the culture.
Sauce Gardner going back at fans. You have bigger things to worry about.
The only reason I say that is because
That's weird.
fans say some extremely out-of-pocket nonsense on
But
social
why even
media.
open DMs? Like, you opened a DM
mean,
for
I-
what? Why are you scrolling
Yeah, why
through?
even look
Looking
at
to
it?
pick it? Look
Get
for,
back
to
to
pick a
work.
fight?
You're a multimillionaire, you
You
know.
just missed a tackle on a big game 2
mean,
weeks ago.
He's not hiding behind a burner like KD.
And if
you
there's
know?
one fan base that has every right to get on social media and lambaste these guys, it's Jets fans.
Yep. They need something to do and something to cope with.
I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. I'm just saying, like, some people say some horrendous stuff. So
No, they do, and it is ridiculous. But
Can't control it.
so preseason,
yeah,
like, oh my God, the Bills got to play the Jets are going to be tough.
Bills had
Can the Bills win the AFC East against the Jets? I mean, now look at us. Now look
I
at
mean,
Yeah, didn't we say that Week 17 matchup could be potentially for
Yeah,
one in
sure.
the
Why
AFC?
not? Look at what the Jets had on their roster. I mean, they were good to go, and then Miami as well.
Yeah.
What a joke! What a joke! It's so nice, I guess, for Bills fans to just know that the division's in hand, and but what a joke! What a joke division, thanks to the Jets.
yeah, it's bad. The Jets and injury, unfortunately, for the Dolphins.
Injuries for the Dolphins. Nothing wrong with. I'm not going to get on the Dolphins. I'm saying
They're
the
playing better.
Jets. The Jets are
No, yeah, I'm just saying, like,
a joke.
yeah.
Dolphins might be able to make some noise. They're playing better, and their schedule is very much in their favor.
Yeah.
They've won 2 in a row. They beat the Rams in LA. I
mean,
and then beat the Raiders yesterday.
Yeah, I guess they shouldn't. There is a scenario where the Dolphins could catch the Bills.
Yeah, but the Bills
Bills
have
got
the
the
tiebreaker
tiebreaker,
anyway.
too.
and-
Dolphins could at least maybe push the table and get a wild card.
Yeah.
Yep.
At minimum, they're going to play spoiler.
Where do you go
that
if you're the
sense.
Jets?
Where do you go? I
You
mean,
need a quarterback first and
clean
foremost.
clean
right?
house of some sort, but I don't know how well that's going to go.
You draft a quarterback and go down that road again. I mean, add to the long list of quarterbacks you've taken in the first round.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of this quarterback class coming up for this year.
Do you trade? You can't bring Rodgers back, can you?
I mean, you might be able to just go knock in the office next door, and they might be willing to part with a quarterback as it
Who,
stands. right
Daniel
now.
Jones and the Giants? Go
Yeah.
grab Daniel
Maybe
Jones.
the Giants will want Aaron Rodgers.
I don't think anybody wants Aaron Rodgers after this.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think-
he is done.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be in a, and I don't mean this as the pun intended here, given Rodgers, but like a team's gonna have to be in a dark place in order to bring him in.
You gotta embrace the darkness.
Yeah. And I did not mean to do the pun there. I mean it from the literal standpoint of like a team's got to be in some deep way that they would entertain it. So
The Jets are on a bye week as well, so they get a lot of extra time to think about their awful year.
yeah,
And then come back and
They-
maybe drop 6 straight.
Yeah, they're at home against Seattle after that, so
What's the motivation?
exactly.
for the Jets.
Yeah. It can't be pride because they've
I don't
already
even
shown
know.
they have none.
Yeah.
I guess for the receivers and Brees Hall, they can, I guess, increase their stats and I guess get a better payday eventually down the road because they can say, hey, look at this year. We had a terrible year and I put up these numbers.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there's really nothing to play for.
Yeah.
The fans don't even want to show up, and why would they?
Well, yeah, it's really something.
Yeah.
It's really something.
And NFL football.
Yeah. Yeah, the Bills were there a long time ago. I mean, not quite there. It's been a while, but
Hard
they
to believe that drought like that lasted the way they've been the last 7 years.
Yeah. I'll say I remember my first ever NFL game was a Bills game, 2013. Jaguars at the Bills, beginning of December game, snowing like crazy. There was, I know you all know the highlight of that game for me because of how bad the two teams were. Was I saw a drunk guy peeing in the sinks in the bathroom because he thought it was the troughs and the nosebleeds.
I can go
Like,
back even further, but when I was first exposed to the Bills and NFL football before the Jim Kelly era, when they went to those Super Bowls, which I remember all very, very well, their quarterback was Joe Ferguson.
That's a name.
I actually do know that name.
So yeah, like franchises go through ups
Mm-hmm.
and downs. You'd like to think that the Bills are now in a spot where they're not going to have any downs for quite some time, at least through the career of Josh Allen. You're just a few bad mistakes and choices away from being the Jets.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Maybe it's just you need to have that. The culture is so bad. As long as you maintain a good culture, you know, like one reason Detroit's good, it isn't just talent, you
Mhm.
know, it's cultures.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell changed the culture.
Yeah. I mean, because look at Detroit. They had moments with Stafford and Calvin Johnson, but it just never.
Yeah, you could
Whenever.
argue that those teams were better talent wise than this team.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Goff gets underrated, but
I mean, Stafford at his peak though was better than Goff at his peak though. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
there's
And
just no way
Calvin
around that.
Johnson
Yeah.
was better than any receiver on the Lions
Yeah.
right now. No disrespect to Amon St. Brown, but and if you apply it to the Bills, who created the culture for Buffalo? I don't think it's Sean McDermott. I think it's Josh Allen.
I think it's
Billy Bean,
Yeah,
or
Yeah, Brandon Bean
Brandon Bean, not Billy Bean.
and
was
Sean
about to say
McDermott came
Moneyball.
in 2017, and then ever since then, it just seems like something has changed. I know Sean McDermott gets a lot of heat, and he should, for some decisions he made, but I guess in reality, he's the one that's in that locker room all the time and controlling the vibes and the atmosphere. And I mean, even through some of the adversity last year, I mean, look, they fired their head coach. They were 5-5, and they ran the table. They went 6-0 to end the regular season. They did, of course, lose to the Chiefs in that playoff game, but the Chiefs have their number in the playoffs. So I don't know. They got to get over the hump, though. They really can't go another playoff, even though I know nobody expected them to be where they are now. They just can't keep losing the Chiefs in the playoffs.
No, now that they're here, yeah, it's different than the preseason.
And if it's going to continue, like, why are they okay with just having Sean McDermott for great regular season success? It's like the Yankees. I know it's different sports, but it reminds me of that. Yeah, let's have a great regular season, but let's not do the job in the postseason. But let's just keep bringing back Aaron Boone. I mean, at some point, no matter if you don't think it's going to make a difference, don't you think you need to make a
Gotta try
change?
something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure to put on Sean McDermott.
Win
for
the
sure.
big game.
Yeah,
That's what I'll say.
but that's what it comes down to: win the big game, and the big game for the Bills at this point isn't even the Super Bowl. It's getting to the Super Bowl. Now, if they get to the Super Bowl and lose, man, that would be crushing too. But they haven't. It's not like the Bills have gotten to the Super Bowl even once during this stretch and lost.
Or pulled the 90s and made it 4 straight.
Just unbelievable. But in their defense, that was the era when the NFC won every Super Bowl. And usually by a lot. The Bills at least kept it close.
Yeah.
And we're really just a Scott Norwood field goal away from winning one.
Yeah, I mean, doing a quick Rolodex here, Steelers were pretty much the only AFC team there for a while to win a Super Bowl, right? I don't think I'm missing anybody. Yeah, I think the Steelers would be the only
We
one.
had San
Now,
Francisco, Giants, Dallas. I mean, it was
Washington.
NFC dominant in every Super Bowl for a good decade, at least.
Yeah.
But
Speaking of the Steelers, quick, I know we got to get out of here, but how legit do you think they are at 8-2?
I was
Because they
impressed
won the game
with
on
the win
6 field goals.
yesterday. I didn't think they were going to win that game, and they did.
I know their defense is legit, but they won the game on 6 field goals. That's their second time this year winning on field goals. Do they have enough to actually be a legit contender in January? What do you think? Are we
No.
done?
I'm going to say no. You can't win that many games against quality opponents without scoring touchdowns. You just can't.
And Baltimore had a lot of opportunities. And
Yeah.
I know their defense is very good, but you got to take advantage of one of those opportunities, and they didn't.
For the big brain that people think Mike Tomlin has, he put in Justin Fields at the end of the game for
saw that.
whatever reason.
Well, he slid early. It was a good play
Right.
call. Fields just didn't get the extra yard.
I'm just saying, like,
And they won. Hey, Tomlin is amazing. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Nobody. Did you think preseason that the Steelers were going to be 8-2 at this point?
hell no.
I mean, Tomlin's amazing. Now, granted, it's the same type of thing. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but if you're a Steelers fan, to have a contender every single year, no matter who the heck they roll out there, because of Mike Tomlin, that's kind of nice.
I mean, I don't have anything as cool as the San Francisco 49ers for them, but I think they're frauds. So
Yeah, I think they've earned it. I don't think they're frauds. I think they're not Super Bowl contenders, but they're a really, really good football team.
Yeah, and I think that could be said for the Chargers, who are right underneath them at
What a
7-3.
surprise! Yeah, look at the Chargers.
They're good teams, but are they Chiefs Bills caliber? I don't think so. But
No, let's hope not.
But the good news is the Steelers and Chiefs face off. I don't know which week it is, but it's coming up in December. I'm interested to see how that's going to go. And I don't even know where, if it's in Pittsburgh or what, but that'll tell us more too.
It's in Pittsburgh. It is the Christmas Day game at 1 p.m.
Oh, geez. Well, you know what? I got other things to do at Christmas at 1 o'clock. You know?
And how many Christmas games are there? Is there
I
2?
think it's 2 or 3.
Probably 3, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then a primetime game.
That's what I thought, but pretty sure there's only 2.
I need a. I
1
would.
o'clock in primetime, or are they flexing it at this point?
I have no idea. No, I don't think they could flex those because it's a Wednesday. So
Oh, wow.
I don't think you can really flex those out. Could be wrong, but let's see.
There's 2 games.
You got it. Okay.
Ravens, Texans are the other, but I can't find a time.
Probably like 4:25 maybe or something.
Ravens Texans will be
Aren't
a
those
huge
the
game.
No, wait. Isn't that the Netflix
Netflix.
games?
Yep.
Oh boy.
Hopefully, there's no streaming issues.
Jesus. I can't believe I gave up time to.
At least you didn't buy it
Well,
for the Tyson fight.
depends how you view it, I guess.
Well, you were subscribing to Netflix
Yeah.
either way, probably, right? I'm a subscriber, so it's just, hey, it's on. You watch it. You didn't pay extra for it. Otherwise, I'd be disgusted.
Yeah, it's a 4:30 game, so isn't that weird? Christmas Day, you're going to do 2 games, but you're going to do them in kind of the afternoon, evening, and not do a night game?
I know. Do a primetime game.
What?
I mean, especially,
Schedule's
you know,
up.
I got stuff going on Christmas Day, but Christmas night, I'm ready to watch some football by then.
An 8:15 start? That'd be perfect.
And maybe they will change it. And one last thing, this has been the longest podcast of the season, probably because
It's
we're
up there.
basking in the glow of the big win. But the Broncos are 6-5.
Hammer that
Wild.
cash that ticket, Jim.
Yeah, I already cashed it
There you
before
go.
Thanksgiving. Who would have thought? They needed them to win 6 games to win the preseason prop bet,
Yeah,
and they've done it before Thanksgiving. But
about it.
Sean Payton is a wizard.
Yeah.
And Atlanta didn't even make it a game yesterday. I was
Oh,
shocked.
I know it. They couldn't get any offense.
The defense is
going.
that good, Denver's? They can't even...
I don't know. I picked up Bo Nix for fantasy because I needed a quarterback for the weekend. My God, did it pay off? So we'll take that. So, yeah, we won't be taking a bye week. We'll be back next Monday previewing the
I
San
think
Fran
that's a
game.
good pickup.
Yeah.
Kittle's my tight end, and
Yeah.
it looked like he was going to play all week. And I was actually on the golf course
Yeah.
Sunday morning in the freezing cold, but still nice to play golf in November. And I finally saw that. Oh, it looks like Kittle's going to sit. So I jumped on the waiver wire, and I grabbed Noah Gray.
Oh.
So that,
Dropped him into the starting lineup.
so that touchdown made you happy.
2 touchdowns.
Yep, that's right.
Unbelievable. It's only 2 of the year.
Yeah.
That's right. He scored 2 of their 3 touchdowns.
Yep. Crazy.
Wow.
He's going to get waived anyways once Kittle's back.
Yeah, I played Hawkinson instead of Kittle in my one league, and that didn't make much of a difference. So,
It was disappointing. He cost
Yeah.
me a bet, even though I won big on another.
oh, okay. Go off, King. All right, so we'll be back next Monday previewing the 49er game. Sunday Night Football will be pretty big. Hopefully, it's a quiet week at One Bills Drive. We won't need to discuss anything. So, Jim, Kyle, appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody else for listening and tuning in. You can find Bills Weekly and all of your FingerLakes1.com podcasts on FingerLakes1.com, the FL1 YouTube channel, and major podcasting platforms. Enjoy the bye week, everybody. We'll talk again next Monday.